Welcome and thank you for joining us for your Stylo News Intelligence Update. Our focus today is the critical Mediterranean Sea region.
In this special intelligence briefing, we're going to examine the most significant events that have been developing across the Mediterranean over the past 2 weeks. So, let's get right to it.
Now, this intelligence update is brought to you by our partners at ProWave AI. They're the developers of Stylo Intel Ops, that's the AI-powered open-source intelligence program, and of course, Stylo News, which is available on the web and in your favorite app store.
All right, looking at the region, over the last 2 weeks, the Mediterranean has really become a focal point for what we're seeing as 3 distinct but converging crises. We're going to break down each of these flashpoints to give you a clear picture of what's happening and, just as importantly, why it matters.
So our first flashpoint, we're looking at a direct attack on Russian energy infrastructure. Now, this is significant because it signals a very real and frankly dangerous potential for the conflict in Ukraine to expand into new maritime domains, well beyond the original front lines.
Here are the specifics. This all happened on March 3rd. The target? A Russian-flagged LNG tanker called the Arctic Metagaz, which was operating near Malta. The attack itself was swift and absolutely devastating. It resulted in the tanker's complete destruction.
And in the aftermath, well, Russia did not hesitate to assign blame. President Vladimir Putin came out publicly, labeling it a terrorist attack. He alleged it was orchestrated by Ukraine using naval drones. You know, an accusation like that, it significantly raises the stakes. It draws a direct line between the war in Ukraine and the broader security of the Mediterranean.
Okay, let's shift our focus now. We're moving to the eastern Mediterranean. This is where rising tensions between the United States and Iran have spilled over from just words into direct military action. And the result? The entire region is now on high alert.
So how did this all start? Well, this very dangerous exchange really kicked off on February 28th. We saw joint U.S. and Israeli military strikes aimed at Iran's nuclear facilities. And to back that up, the U.S. deployed the USS Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group, a clear signal of serious intent. Iran's response? It was almost immediate. They launched a barrage of missile and drone attacks against U.S. bases in the region, and even attempted strikes near Cyprus.
And of course, an escalation like this has immediate ripple effects across NATO. Think about it. Key U.S. bases in Italy, places like Sigonella and Aviano, these are vital hubs for surveillance and air power. They were immediately placed on heightened alert. This puts Italy in a really tough spot. The government, under Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni, has reaffirmed its treaty commitments, but they are also publicly trying to keep Italy from getting directly involved in this conflict.
And that brings us to our third and final flashpoint for today. We're turning from military conflict to a persistent and deeply troubling humanitarian crisis. You see, in just the first few months of this year, the tragedy of migrant crossings in the Mediterranean has reached a grim new milestone. Just think about this number for a moment. 606. That's the number of men, women, and children who have been confirmed dead or are reported missing since the start of this year, all while simply trying to cross the Mediterranean Sea.
And to put that number, 606, into perspective, international organizations are reporting that this marks the deadliest start to a year for migrants in the Mediterranean in over a decade. It's truly a staggering statistic.
You know, this isn't just one single issue. It's really being fueled by a perfect storm of different factors. We're seeing these terrible tragedies off the coast of Greece and Italy. For example, on March 3rd, a boat with 100 people on board was just left adrift after its engine failed. So many of these journeys begin in Libya, where the UN continues to report systemic human rights abuses. And at the same time, many European nations are putting stricter deterrence policies in place. So, when you take a step back, you have these 3 major developments: a maritime attack, a military escalation, and a humanitarian emergency. The key thing to understand is that they are not happening in isolation. They really represent a complex and interconnected web of challenges that the entire region is facing right now.
This brings us to the crucial question, doesn't it? How do all of these events connect? You have to ask, how does regional instability, like the conflict with Iran, for example, end up driving migration? And how do these larger conflicts between great powers, like Russia and Ukraine, reshape security across these absolutely vital sea lanes?
Well, these are the very questions we explore in our full intelligence explainer. It's titled Mediterranean Flashpoint, and it provides a real deep dive analysis. You can find that full update right now on your favorite podcast channel or just by following the link included with this post.
Thank you for joining us for this intelligence briefing. To stay informed with AI-powered news on demand, you can always visit us at stylonews.com.